I think that it's also the investor's fault. The market works against someone or someone else. Invest in crypto or stocks.
Also, what about the investors?
Developers realize
Convergence. Hello, everyone. So today we have Tariq, who is a real estate agent and has been in the real estate industry for quite a while now, and is working for one of the notable companies here in Dubai, UAE, United Arab Emirates. And in this channel, as you all know, that we've talked about real estate investing from an investor's perspective. But now Tariq will share what he sees real estate and how it looks like from his perspective. That being said, it's a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Tariq.
Thank you. It's great being here. It's a pleasure to do this with you, and I'm excited.
Glad to hear. So let me get straight into it, Mr. Tariq. How do you see real estate investments as a real estate agent? What is that real estate asset class to you?
Well, look, if you mean compared to other investments, definitely I see it as the safest. It requires the least amount of effort, in my opinion. I mean, I'll get down to the details later, and it requires the least amount of knowledge. But at the same time, it needs a large amount of capital. So that's a big barrier when you compare it to others like crypto and trading. You can invest as little as $50, $100, whatever you want. You can even have practice investing. You can have like with fake money and all that kind of stuff. So that's a barrier. The barrier is the entry into real estate. Now, my view is real estate is the best. And of course, I'm a real estate agent. I'm going to say that, but there's a practical reason behind that. Now, if you compare real estate to like day trading, right? And I'm going to be specific to day trading just for now. For day trading, there's a lot more effort into it. You need to at least spend 2 to 3 hours looking at the news, looking at whatever you need to look at. I'm not a professional to say more on that, but it needs a lot more effort. And realistically, for someone to make profit on stocks and crypto, someone else has to lose. But in real estate, everyone is winners. So it's not like the market works against someone or someone else, So it makes it a lot more simple. It makes it a lot more easy. Now you can tell me, oh, Tariq, what if we invest long term? That way I don't have to put so much effort. I don't have to do so much with the stocks or with the crypto. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, if you don't have all that education, if you don't know what you're doing, then at any given day, you can lose half of your real estate portfolio, maybe more, maybe less. But that's why you need to know what you're investing. You need to know when to exit, when to enter. And for the average investor, which of course there are the few percentage of people who know what they're doing in crypto and stocks, but for the average investor, they may not know what's heading to them, like in COVID or in any type of crash, or something might happen with the CEO of a company and the company goes down. So no one can really tell what could happen, or but with real estate, it's much more predictable. So that's my thoughts on real estate. But my opinion, because I understand the market and I've studied crypto and I invest in crypto and stocks, I do believe the smartest thing to do as an investor is to allocate your funds. So maybe you can put 15% in stocks, 20% in crypto, but the biggest share, in my opinion, should be in real estate, since it's the safest and since it's actually not so cheap to invest in.
So your advice here is to put the biggest portion of your investment portfolio into real estate, as it's safer than other.
Yeah. But of course, if you're gonna invest in crypto or stocks, you have to be educated in it. As simple as that. I believe it takes a lot more education to get into crypto and stocks.
And also, those people who are getting into real estate have someone to guide them, like you, for example, that's a real estate agent.
Definitely. Yeah, there's a lot more openness in real estate. I mean, there's a lot more information available for you, and I believe it's a lot more common sense. Real estate is a people. You're investing for a product that's for people. So it takes common sense. You're gonna buy a home, you're gonna rent it out. Who's gonna use the home? People. Who are you gonna sell it to? People. So it's a very common sense kind of investment. Of course, there's a lot of rules and regulations, and the investor needs to know these rules and regulations. They need to educate themselves on it, but it's simple in my opinion compared to stocks and crypto. And of course, business is an investment too. Business just needs a lot of planning. It needs a lot of effort. You need to be you know, you need to be very good in the service that you're providing in your business for it to be successful. So, I believe that real estate is a passive income as well. You don't have to put so much effort. You can hire a broker, you can hire a property manager to take care of it for you. And even if you don't do that, you're working with people. If someone needs maintenance, if someone needs this, it's pretty simple. And that's my thought on it.
Basically, so people who love to work with people should go to real estate, but those who hate working with people and the headache that comes from people basically shouldn't go to real estate.
I guess to a certain extent. I mean, if you have a headache with people, then you can just work with me, or you can work with any property manager, and they'll deal with the people. So you get your income. So there's that way as well. I mean, and not to forget, I mean, okay, stocks, you have dividend payouts, but real estate as well, you have two sources of income. You have the rental income and you have the capital appreciation. So that's another plus.
Understood. So basically in crypto, as you know now, we're in some kind of narrative or trend, as they call it, the metaverse and the gaming bull run, okay? But for the real estate industry, is there any current trend or narrative investors should look out for?
Well, it depends on where you are in the world. Here in Dubai, let's just say the general trend. I'm not going to say right now, but the general trend is rent. Why? Because here in Dubai, we receive amongst the highest ROIs, which is return on investment, rental income, compared to other developed cities. Now, I'm not going to say there are other cities that produce higher rental yields, but in developed cities or, big economies, social economies, this is amongst the highest in the world. If you compare it to other cities like London, everyone can do the research and check that. So the trend here in Dubai, in terms of long term, in terms of the main trend, it's leasing and the high ROI that you'll get here compared to other countries. Now, if you say, I'm going to just talk as a real estate industry as a whole, so other markets as well, then I can say in London, what's popular there is house flipping. People take their property and they can make up to 20% house flipping on their property, which is they can purchase it, then they can sell it afterwards. So in America as well, the trend there as well is investing in complexes where they can buy multiple units and leasing that. But if I focus more on the current trends right now, you have two main trends or two new trends that I'm seeing currently. The first trend is the holiday home trend. Holiday homes have been very, very popular right now for many reasons. But of course, as you can see, Dubai is growing as a tourist company and they're seeing their main income from tourists. And the hotel industry cannot handle the amount of people coming into the country. So there is a need and there is a demand for holiday homes. Also, a lot of people who visit the country or any tourist, some of them may feel more comfortable going with a home rather than a hotel. And there's so many reasons behind that. Now that's the first trend. The second trend, which is the most recent trend, and that's a post-COVID trend, it's townhouses and villas. And the reason behind that is because people who spend a lot of time at home, and during COVID, we've all been on lockdown, they've been taking, more of a look at where they live, the space that they have. They want a bigger space. They want to have a garden. So that, this COVID and this lockdown has affected a lot of people on the home that they live in. So for tenants, for example, more of them are looking to move into a bigger property. Maybe if it's an apartment, a bigger balcony. And people who move to townhouses and villas, they just want to leave their apartment, the small space, they're working from home, to take a townhouse and a villa. At the same time, people who are purchasing properties, could be mortgage clients, have seen that mortgage rates have been quite low after COVID. So there's an increase in home buyers through mortgages as well. So that's been the newest trend here in Dubai after COVID.
Very interesting, because I wanted to ask as well, how did COVID affect, basically, how did the pandemic affect the real estate industry? As I know,
Yeah,
like people who
yeah,
were in homes and apartments basically are now looking for an extra room so they can work from home, basically, right? So
exactly,
that's
exactly.
which is there any change in the investors' behavior post-pandemic? And you said, yeah,
That's a major change. And of course, let me add on that also. Um, there's a supply. Also, there's a supply issue here in Dubai in terms of townhouses and villas. So the demand that people have compared to the supply is much, much higher than the amount of townhouses and villas. And you, Adham, as an investor, you might receive offers right now. And if you notice, most of the developers are launching townhouses and villas. And there's a reason for that. That's because there aren't enough townhouses and villas for tenants or for home buyers. So the developers realize this and are launching most of their projects to be townhouses and villas.
but aren't they too late to the party? As because people usually, as an investor, you should prepare for the trend, right? Before the
Mhm,
trend actually
mhm.
wave comes. So aren't they like too late because the wave already came and townhouses and all these
Well,
appreciate.
you can't really anticipate that COVID was going to happen. So that's one thing. A second thing is actually developers, they have been building a lot of these projects before COVID. There's been a lot of these villa projects in Dubai land, and they happen to be constructed and be ready around COVID. But because of this increased demand, they have started to launch more projects, and at the same time, sure, they're off plan, but they've been selling out within days. I mean, I can use an example. Tilal Al Ghaf, they launched townhouses and villas at different times, and one project was sold out in 1 week, another project was sold out in 2 days, although it's going to be handed over in 2024. Of course, it's a respected developer. People know that they're buying from someone who won't delay them, who won't, you know, uh, mess up the production, because they have seen all of their works here in Dubai. They've seen the malls. He's a popular name. So that's why they've been very successful with that.
Understood. So Tariq, let me get a bit personal here. Who would
Yeah.
be ideal investor for you? Like you would love to work with? Who's that person? How is he like?
Well, I'd love to work with an investor who used to be a broker, because he understands us. He understands what we go through. But realistically, I'd like to work with an investor who knows their budget. It's very important that you know what your budget is. You have a financial plan at least, and that's the simplest and the most important thing that you need to know. If you don't have a financial plan, if you don't have a budget, if you don't know, how you're going to purchase the property, how you're going to spend for it, then there's no way that you should and you could purchase a property. And I'll get into more details with that. So when you make a financial plan, you need to see how much of the savings that you have, how much can you pay upfront, if that's in cash. If not, if you're not going to pay in cash, you want to see maybe you can take a mortgage. And the way that a mortgage works, you have to pay at least 20% upfront. At some cases, 25% upfront. Do you have that amount? And maybe you're going to come to me and say, oh, I want to purchase a property, I want to purchase a villa. You have to have a pre-approval. If I'm going to tell you, okay, what's your budget or what's your mode of payment, and you tell me a mortgage, you have to have a pre-approval before coming to me, unless, because maybe I might start showing you some properties and then in the end you can't get that mortgage. So that's another way. The third way is payment plans. And you might have a set budget for down payment, but you also need to know how much you can pay monthly or quarterly or every 6 months or yearly. So it's very, very important that a client knows what their budget is. Uh, that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, you know, which is better than just having a financial plan, it would be great for them to be educated in real estate, to understand the rules and regulations. I mean, the more information they have, the more they know about the market, the more they know about the rules and regulations, the more they know their own requirements. It makes it easier for me to work with them. And there's a lot of ways to get educated. They can get educated through your videos. They could read, Mohammed Al Wadia's book, which is, very specific to the Dubai market, and it's called Landlording. Yeah, I have it right here, actually. This is the book. It's very specific. It gets, it helps any kind of investor know what to analyze in the market, the processes to follow, and yeah, it's a great way to get ahead and get educated.
Perfect. So it would be best, the ideal investor would look like something like this basically. He has the knowledge in real estate and also has the capital
Yep.
to basically invest in real estate.
Yeah.
Counting and saying, okay, I might have the capital sometime down the line, maybe
Yeah.
from now. You want someone to have that money and also have that money.
Of course, you have to have that. You have to have that budget right now, because something that you want to invest in right now could be sold out in 2 months, in 3 months, in 1 week. So it's very important to know what your budget is right now. Of course, look, no one can take a decision right now. I've worked with investors who bought a property, or even homeowners. I worked with a homeowner who bought a property after a year and a half, which is normal. I mean, this is how people work. But you need to know what kind of budget you have, what you're working with, and to have a pre-approval if you're going through a mortgage.
Understood. So is there any type of investor that you would not like to work with? Like if someone's super negative and said, okay, this is too expensive, this is too crowded or whatever. Is there any certain type you wouldn't want to work with? Like you'd straight away say, no, I'm not going to work with you. I can't work with you. Go find another broker or agent.
Definitely there's been many issues that I've had with investors, but as the first point I said before this, what kind of investor I would work with? Someone who knows their budget at least. If you don't know your budget, it'll be very difficult for me to help you. And I can help you with everything except for your budget. I can't make money for you. I can't tell you what to do. This is your own personal finances as well. I can help you if you have any questions, for sure. But you have to have a budget. And if you won't share it with me, or you can't seem to put a financial plan together, then I'll just say, sorry, I can't work with you. When you're able to figure it out, and if you need my help, let me know. But if you can't figure it out, then sorry. The second kind of investor, which I've come by a lot, is the no investor, or the excuses. I mean, for example, back in April 2020, the excuse was, oh, it's lockdown, it's COVID, the market's terrible, and it's gonna keep going down, and I don't know where it's heading. But actually, if anyone knew, was going back in COVID, that was actually the best time to buy properties. But their excuse was, oh, it's COVID, it's lockdown, I don't know. And then after lockdown, their excuses, oh, well, no one knows what's gonna happen with the market with COVID, and Expo's postponed. And then now their excuses, oh, Expo's here, the market's too good to be true. No one knows what's going to happen after Expo. There's always an excuse. And we're seeing record numbers, record transactions in every aspect of real estate. I mean, we're seeing, daily transactions of 1 billion dirhams, which we haven't seen in so many years. So, there's no need for excuses. Of course, you need to understand when is the right time, when is the wrong time to purchase a property. I do believe that there is buyer markets and there is seller markets, but don't get too caught up by the excuses.
So,
yeah.
You're saying don't look at market cycle, where we are in the market cycle. Just buy because this is going to play out in the long term. Is that what you're saying?
Look, no, I do believe there is a market cycle. But for example, if you're going to keep using excuses all the time, it's going to be pointless. You're never going to buy. I mean, if you looked at COVID time, his excuse was, oh, I can't purchase COVID. No one knows where the market is heading. But as we all know, prices were at all-time lows back then, and you could have bought a property at a very good price. You can never, as an investor, you can never choose the perfect time of the market cycle. You can never go at the worst time of the market cycle or the best time. Even for crypto, even for stocks, you can never actually pinpoint the worst and the best. You just have to take calculated decisions and sometimes take a risk. But as we know in real estate, risks are very minimal. But I wanted to say one more thing. The last kind of client I wouldn't work with is a very, very rude client. There are these clients who think that they look down on salespeople, or they treat them with disrespect. I'll just end the call. I won't speak to you ever again, because it's just, it's not respectful at all.
So let me get a bit more personal now. Are there
Yeah.
Are there any key metrics that you use to assess your performance as a real estate agent, basically? Each month, for example,
Mhm.
the number of leads you get, referrals, the
Mhm.
commission, or what are those metrics you look at on a monthly basis?
Of course, look, we have a target to get to, and the target is, a set amount of commission that'll make you happy or pleased with on a month by month basis. So that's the target. But to achieve a certain target, of course, you need to like much deeper than that, and that could be with the amount of new leads you start speaking to, the amount of new leads that you're in contact with or are referred to, the amount of existing clients that you've been following up with. And when you see the amount of people that you're in contact with, from that percentage, how many people are you getting into a meeting with? Because the more meetings you get into, the more closings you'll be more likely to have. So the more leads you're in contact with, the more people you can help, the more likely you will get a meeting, the more likely you will close. So that's something I look at. I look at how many people I'm in contact with, how many serious clients I have, and that's how I work with for buyers. But at the same time, another way of working is working with sellers. If I have multiple sellers, let's just say on a month by month basis, I have a target of, I want to have 5 new properties to list online or 5 new properties to sell. It's another great way to work, because that way you can list properties online and then you'll get a new source of leads, a new source of buyers. So that's another strategy.
Understood. So basically your
Yeah.
lead conversion rate.
Yeah.
Understood. So now I want to be
100%.
really selfish, Mr. Tariq, and ask you a question, because as you know, I'm heavily invested in crypto and the blockchain world. And I would like to know from your side, basically, is cryptocurrencies and blockchain and all this affecting the real estate industry? For example, I saw a couple of months ago, basically, there was some news that some companies were accepting Bitcoin or even Dogecoin for payment of properties. What was happening there? It was like some kind of marketing scheme, or is just...
Well, definitely there is some kind of marketing into it. But first of all, I'll just say this. When you buy a property, there's 2 different ways to buy a property, right? You're gonna buy it either from a developer, or you can buy it from me, from Adham, from anyone else. So there's 2 kind of transactions, let's just say. And I'll talk about developers. Developers, definitely they're using marketing to their advantage. But second of all, they do not follow the secondary market transaction rules. Secondary market transaction rules, they have to either be paid by check, by managerial check, transfer, and that's it. You can't even pay by cash or by crypto. But with developers, what some of them did, not all of them did, was they were accepting cryptocurrencies. I believe Dogecoin and Bitcoin at some point, MR was accepting Bitcoin. So they do that as a marketing stunt, but of course they do their own study in the process. Maybe they see at this point of the time where the Bitcoin prices or the Dogecoin prices, they would benefit if they took that instead of cash. So, but in my opinion, what I see from that is that Dubai as a whole, they're more accepting of the idea of cryptocurrency, as there hasn't been any notice from the government or any ban from the government to use that from developers, use that mode of payment. And at the same time, if I speak about the secondary market, Dubai government itself is looking to go fully blockchain. And with that, in sense, you can know that they have an open mind to this. So possibly in the future, we can see crypto as a mode of secondary market transactions. So if I have a property and you want to buy it from me, I do see in the future, if the government goes fully blockchain and Dubai Land Department is going fully blockchain, and they're saying that they will, which shows that they're open-minded to it, then of course there will be transactions going by crypto. And Also, another positive thing is I've had a seller myself who's asked if he could sell his property through crypto. So already people here in Dubai are very, very open-minded about this, and they want to do it. Of course, I had to say no because there isn't any kind of rules or regulations for a secondary market transaction to happen in that way.
Understood, understood. So what you're trying to say here is that it's coming in the future, but we're
Yeah,
not there
I
yet.
do see it coming. I do see that it's coming. I cannot say from my side, but I do think that it's hopeful because of what they're saying on the rules, on the news, and about how, if you check the aim and objectives of Dubai, the government and Dubai Land Department, one of their objectives on their website is to go fully blockchain. So it shows a hopeful reason for it to happen.
And also, what about the investors? Like you've been approached by only one person that has like made his web through crypto and has came to blockchain, or is it like increasing by time?
Honestly, look, the amount of investors as a whole who've made their income from crypto and moving into real estate, there aren't many. Me personally, I've been in contact with one. But if you see, I mean, if you're following the, crypto influencers and all of that, lots of them made Dubai their home and they're staying here. They were visiting and they've stayed and they've bought properties themselves. So there are people who have made their income through crypto who are purchasing luxury homes here in Dubai and purchasing investments here. So it is, but the amount isn't very high. It's a very, very limited amount.
Because recently a lot of crypto influencers actually came to Dubai and they stayed for quite a
Yeah.
while. I think most of
They've
them,
stayed, they've
Mhm.
bought properties. Yep.
Yeah, and some of them stayed and bought properties. Yes, that's I'm aware.
Yeah. Yeah.
So coming to the end now, what's
Yep.
one hot tip you would give to any investor who's getting started in real estate, basically? And what and wants to invest in his first property? What would you tell him? What advice would you give him if he's just entering this field?
Get in touch with me. or
A real
okay,
estate broker
but
is always a broker.
but seriously, look, first of all, have a financial plan.
Mhm.
That's the first thing. Take a look at your income, take a look at your savings, set up a budget from that. uh, Try to see what mode of payment you want to do. Maybe you want to take the cash route, maybe you want to take the mortgage route, maybe you want to do a payment plan. So you have to analyze your budget from there. Of course, the type of investment you want to do is also important because maybe you want to go for something, I don't know, a townhouse and a villa. If it's a townhouse and a villa and you don't have the cash, but you want it to be ready, maybe the mortgage route is the best possible route for you. Maybe you don't mind waiting a little bit for it to be off plan. Okay, then you can take the payment plan route. So you have to also make a plan on what type of investment you want to have. And for that, I want to get into my next point, which is educate yourself. When you educate yourself and you know what kind of investments you can do, what maybe if you want to invest in a townhouse, you want to invest in a holiday home, you just want a classic rental property, from there you can kind of strategize and see what kind of payment mode. When you get in touch with me, you can see, I can share with you the offers that we have in the market, and then you can basically choose from there. The last thing is, of course, the rules and regulations. You really need to know that. You really need to understand what rules are being incorporated. There's lots of new rules. For example, for a visa investment, it used to be 1 million dirhams. Very, very recently, it's 750,000 dirhams. So the rules and regulations are always changing. You want to also know, just to not get scammed in any way from a developer, you need to know what's going on with Dubai Land Department, how you can check up the projects, how you can calculate what the rental income is. Some developer salesperson might come to you and say, oh, the rental income is 30,000 or 50,000 or whatever, and it turns out to be 30,000. So you need to do your own research. So it's all part of this whole education. But if you get in touch with me, I'll definitely be able to guide you in the right direction. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you what's going on in the market, and I'll help you with where you can find the right information on the Dubai Land Department, on Property Finder, do your research. We also have access to transactions that have happened, so you can see what the sales transactions are in that particular area. So it's all in that part. And the last thing I want to say is it's very much psychological, and I would say is find someone you trust and be patient. So when you go and you want to take a look at a new project and you go to a developer, okay, be patient about it, don't take your decision so quickly, um, and find someone you trust, and that's pretty much it. And then if you find a hardworking broker, they'll always find you the best offers in the market.
So describe the final thing here. How would you describe real estate in one word?
With one word, I
Just
would
one
say
word.
patience.
Patience. Patience. So
Patience, because I'll explain why patience. It's one word, but I'll explain why. Real estate is a long-term investment. That's for sure. If you keep real estate for a very long time, you'll never lose it. Of course, it's leveraged against inflation. With the rental income that you're making, you'll never lose. So you might be facing an issue with a tenant, you might be facing an issue with maintenance or with a developer. Play it out for the long term, and you will never lose with real estate.
so now let's move on to some questions from the audience. So the first question is
Okay.
how to get the best offer when it comes to a mortgage? What to look out for, basically?
Okay. Well, my best advice is to get in touch with a mortgage broker, because they'll always get you the best offers available in the market, and they'll handle the whole process for you. But for us as real estate brokers, we don't get too involved with the real estate process. So there isn't much input I can say there, but the only thing I can do is, offer or refer some very good mortgage brokers for whoever is asking, or for whoever client who asks me.
The second question, what are the tricks? This is a funny one. What are the tricks the real estate salespeople use to trap investors?
Okay, well, for me to comment on that, there could be some tricks and some dishonest people in sales, but I think if a salesperson uses a trick or lies or does something wrong in a sales process, I think that it's also the investor's fault. And I'll tell you why. Because as an investor, you're making a decision. And before you make a decision, you must be sure to always, check certain things, check your contract, check your SPA, check the Dubai Land Department website. You have to always, check the rules, check regulations, whatever the, salesperson tells you, you must double check it. You must base your decision on that before paying or before booking or before signing the contract. So that's the first thing I want to say about that. But what I can say is, for example, a trick that a salesperson can use is they can lie about the completion date. Okay, but the solution to that as an investor is you can check the Dubai Land Department website, you can check the so-called project, and it will tell you when is the expected handover date, because they update the completion status personally. They take a look at the construction and they take a look at everything and they update it. So there's a solution to that. Maybe he can lie about the rental income. If he lies about that, you need to do your due diligence and check online and see what the rental income is for properties that are similar to the property that you have in the area, or if it exists already, then you can check the rental income itself. Um, he could lie about the service charges. Well, that's also available online. It's available on the Dubai Land Department website. So whatever it is, whatever the trick is, or whatever the lie is, I believe, of course, it's wrong for a salesperson to do that. But as an investor, before you take a heavy decision like this, you should be doing your due diligence. Dubai is fair. The rules and regulations from Dubai Land Department are fair and they're just for everyone. So you can take any decision, and the information is available for you on Dubai Land Department, online, on Google, and you can make a fair and right decision. And just to add on that as well, I want to say something else. There's two different types of salespeople. You have a developer salesperson and you have a broker. Developer sales focus on one product, and that's their product. Maybe they have multiple buildings, maybe they have different kind of townhouses and villas, but it's their own product. A broker, on the other hand, sells the whole market, and they may have unlimited amount of products to sell. So, you have to pay your mind for this salesperson. Is he pushing you too much? Is he trying to, suffocate you and say, "Oh, get this offer before it's too loud, before it ends," or, pushing you too hard on his own product because he knows he has nothing else to sell and he doesn't want to lose you? Maybe that's why it's best to go with a broker, because they don't need to sell you this product. And if you don't like this product, then they can take you somewhere else. They can show you something else. They can do all of the work for you. They can negotiate for you. They can do the whole process after sales. Developer sales people don't do that. They don't rent the property for you. They don't inspect the property for you. They don't hand over the property for you. They sell the product and that's it. Their job is done. So that's why it's better to go with a broker, in my opinion. And of course, do your due diligence, whether you're working with a developer. If you're working with a developer, then check check on Dubai Land Department. Even if you're working with a broker, but buying a product from a developer, check what their, if they have any complaints on Dubai Land Department, their reviews online, check their past projects, if they have past projects, when were they completed, and how did their customer service, because of course when you purchase a property, you may have to follow up with the developer. You might have to, ask for some certain documents. You might have to ask for some certain permit. So, what does the review say about their customer service? So there's a lot of due diligence. And of course, if you're working with a broker, then it's very important that you work with a very well-known company, somebody who has a good reputation in the market. Us as Harbor Real Estate, I work with Mohamed Al Wadiya. Mohamed Al Wadiya is a very well-known market leader, very well respected. Us as Harbor Real Estate, we have been gold rated 4 times in a row by Dubai Land Department, which is the most prestigious person who could award you this. I mean, it's not like, you can buy it through connections or like any other award that other brokerages might have. So that's very important as well. So I guess as an investor, just take your due diligence and don't fall for the tricks.
So investors, you should be watching my videos to learn more about real estate in order to not make get tricked.
Yeah, definitely.
The final question is, do you think the market is set up for it to benefit the seller or the buyer?
Neither. It doesn't benefit either party. And of course, I mean, it's not the market, but it's the rules and regulations. Let's just say the rules and regulations that you have here in Dubai, set by the Dubai Land Department, make any transaction, whether it's renting, buying, just for all parties. In a buying process, there's something called an MOU. On the MOU, it states what the price is, it states all the terms and conditions. If this is a secondary market sale, of course, it states all the conditions. And then this MOU contract will be used as the terms in the future when the transaction is taking place. So it's very just, and both parties have to sign it. It's very fair. As for tenants, of course, you have the holy jari system. If there is a dispute between a tenant and the landlord, it can be taken in ijari and they solve it as fast as possible. So it's very just, it's fair. There's no one benefiting from this. And that's why Dubai is such a great area to invest in and why it's growing so rapidly in terms of real estate investments, is because it's so fair.
Amazing. So thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Basically to a lot of people who are gonna watch this video.
Thank you. And I just want to say something. I want to say thank you to you, Adham, because you've put a lot of effort into this and you're giving away, I would say, golden advice for practically for free, and you're doing it all because you have a passion. So I believe anybody who's watching you, they should really appreciate what you're doing, and thank you very much for that.